Hello and welcome to your first video. So this is day 3 representing functions, and there's a lot of words in this first section, so I'm going to have you pause and read through this first section, and then we will come back and answer some questions about it. Alright, so let's go ahead and come up with some functions on our own. The more I study, so what do you think is going to happen if the more you study? Well, you're probably going to do better on the test. So let's put do better on the test. All right, what about more energy that you're going to have? How would you get more energy? Well, I would say the more sleep you get. The less I obey my parents. Oh, I bet you could come up with some for that one. I'll let you fill that one in. And then the last one, blank, the less friends I will have. Well, I would say the worse mood I'm in, the less friends I'll have. But I bet you could come up with some other ones as well. So these are all functions, relationships. So we've got an input, a relationship, and then an output. Input is going to be your independent variable, kind of where you're starting. The output is going to be your dependent. It depends upon your input. So let's take a look at that relationship. No pausing. We are going to underline the independent variable and circle the dependent variable. So for this first one, it says, my pay depends, so there's a big hint, on how much I work. So the pay is dependent, so we're going to circle that. And then what does it depend upon? Well, how much you work. All right, let's take a look at the next one. The more homework I complete, the better my DHQ scores. So independent is going to be the more homework you complete. Dependent would be better DHQ scores, kind of the output or what's the result. So go ahead and try that last one on your own. Pause now. And hopefully you have circled next day energy and underlined time you get to bed. So the time you get to bed is going to result in how much energy you have. Let's look at that graphically. So the amount of pay for the number of hours worked. So your pay is going to increase as your hours increase. So the more I work, the more I get paid, or even less. You could go that way. Pay would decrease that way. All right, this one doesn't actually match up with height and age, but we could go ahead and fill in an example like that, and then this one kind of goes on its own. But height and age, so as you are getting older, you're growing and you kind of stay stagnant there throughout your life. And then I would say you kind of get hunched over as you get older and you kind of lose some of your height. But you definitely don't go down to nothing. Probably start here at 0 because you're, well, not 0, but, you know, little height. So the later that I go to bed, the blank I get up. Definitely the later I get up because I am tired. All right, let's look at it if it were not linear. It doesn't always have to be a line. What about if we throw a ball in the air? So it's going to start down here, it's going to go up, it's going to reach the highest point, and then it's going to go back down. So that's not linear. So functions can have a different shape sometimes, so keep that in mind. Notice that what types of things functions process? Well, numbers are obvious, but which numbers? So for example, your height function, that depends on your age. That makes no sense. For age less than 0, so it could be letters, it could be ID codes, or Stranger Things. So we've got lots of different types of things that functions could involve. We do need to talk quickly about sets. This is just kind of a quick little section on sets. We'll get more into sets later on. But sets, for example, a set of even numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, etc. A set of positive numbers, less than 1, so less than 7, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then a set of multiples of 3. So 3, 6, 9. That's a set of multiples of 3. So again, we'll spend some more time on sets a little later on, but let's continue with the different types of functions that we have. So we have verbal. So for example, the candy bar that you get from the vending machine depends upon the type of code that you enter. So that code specifically goes to that candy bar. So we've got some verbal. We have algebraic. We'll talk more about those examples. Tables and graphs. So those are some examples of functions in different formats. Now it's important to know whether or not something's a function. So how do we know? Well, things to keep in mind is it must be functional. So it's got to meet these rules here. So for every possible input value, there's got to be one output value. So it has to have that relationship. For example, let's say you work 5 hours. You're either going to get an output of $50 that you earned or 25. It makes no sense to get two different outputs for the same input. So that's kind of this example. 5 hours, you can't get two different payments. But if someone worked 5 hours and got paid $50, and maybe someone who's younger gets paid less, and they worked 5 hours, they would only get the same. Or this person gets paid $50, this person gets paid $50. They can both get paid $50, and that's okay. But the same person can't get paid two different amounts for the same amount of work. All right, let's go ahead and move on to how to determine with the different types here. So with verbal, use your brain. Is the relationship functional? Would the input only deliver one output? So for example, the items in the store to their prices on a certain day. So is peanut butter going to be the same price if you go in the morning as it would be at the end of the day? Yes. The types of fruit. So if you're in the store and you see an apple, is that going to match up with just one color? No. An apple could be red or it could be green. And obviously we know apples could be a lot more colors than that. But no, apples could be more than one color. What about last name to cell phone number? How about you think about that one? Write your answer and then check when you're ready. The answer is no, because for example, me, Rushing, I have a cell phone number, and my husband, Rushing, has a different cell phone number. So Rushing could give you my number or my husband's number. So that is two different outputs for the same last name. That's a no. For the number of items in the grocery cart to the total cost of the items in the cart. So let's say you had 12 items. Is that always going to be the same price? No, because someone's 12 items could be more expensive. Let's say they're buying some meat. That could be $25. Or maybe someone's 12 items were all dollar items, and that could be $12. So the number of items could give you two different total costs. Let's talk about algebraic. Basically, it just can't have a y squared or no y. So this one has a y and no y squared. So yes, a radical is okay. Here, uh-oh, no. Here, there's a y, so yes. Try those last three on your own. Pause and check when you're ready. Yes for number 4, no for number 5, no for number 6. Moving on to tables, remember one output for every input, so no repeating those inputs. So let's go ahead and take a look. 2, 4, 6, 8, we're good, no repeating on the inputs. Uh-oh, 7 and 7, they're giving us two different outputs. No. Here, inputs all different? Yep. Here, inputs all different? Yep, Jan, Ben, Luke, and Joe. So they're all different inputs giving us an output. All right, last thing we're going to talk about is how to check a graph. There's what's called a vertical line test, and I love this test because it's really, really easy. You take a vertical line and you just drag it across, and if it only touches at one point, yes, it's a function. But if you drag it across and, oh no, it touches at more than one point, it's not a function. So let's check these down here. Yep, that one only touches at one point, so that's a yes. This one, yep, only touches at one point, so that's a yes as well. Let's try one down here. Uh-oh, it's touching at 2 points. That's a no. All right, you try these two on your own. You can use your pencil, you can use your finger, but try that vertical line test. Okay, hopefully you got yes for this one up here and no for the circle down here. Great job. Now make sure to summarize at the bottom of your notes what you've learned in this lesson and make sure to note any question or questions that you have about it.